How are you doing?
Great.
Oh, I know this has got to be like your 30th interview of the day, huh?
No, 7. I can tell by your tone of voice I'll enjoy talking to you, but I tell you, man, this last guy, jaded yuppie. Even worse, jaded jazzer yuppie. It's okay. I'll get over him.
Okay. I gotta tell you, Taproot's become one of my favorite albums of all time.
That really pleases me. I worked really hard on getting the album to flow together. I think it flows better than any of my other records.
Well, it took you 5 years to put together pretty much, huh?
Well, not really, because, I mean, that's what my bio says, but the thing is that the live album that I did was in 3 years ago, and it was just what I've been doing, playing live, so I made a live record. So then I went about making my next record, and it took me, 2.5 years. And so whoever writes my bio, how can we get people interested in learning about Michael? Let's tell everybody that this is his first studio record, and they'll skip over the studio and just think he has a big hiatus. I don't know who did that. I'm going to get on there and ask. But no, I just feel like it's a long line. I finished my live album, then I took a little break, then I started writing more tunes and thinking. It just seemed like a natural subject. Taproot is a myth. It's autobiographical. I wrote a story. I was having some personal problems. And whenever you get bothered by something, or if you get wondering about something, you feel like putting your thoughts down maybe so you can look at them and reflect on them, or meditating on something. And my meditation was on a story that I wrote that was made of characters from my life, but I kind of made it into a myth, so I could kind of live in this little fairy tale world that I'd created. All the characters and places and events in the myth are song titles, and the actual story does exist, but only for my formal reasons. In other words, my structure to the record is following that story. But yet I don't want to force that story onto my listeners as they and say they should perceive the album a certain way according to these guidelines. So I just let the music tell the story, and I'll keep the verbiage in my file.
It's pretty unique to translate something like a story into an instrumental form.
I read a story, science fiction, about where people didn't speak. They sang to each other, or played to each other. I thought that was kind of neat.
What book was that?
I don't know, it's Ray Bradbury or Isaac Asimov.
You use something called a trans-trim guitar. Well, what is that exactly?
It's the guitar that bends. It's a whammy bar. Well, somebody invented one that you could lock down into different keys. So you bend all the notes down and they go down equally. Now, most whammy bars, you only do it with one note, or use it as a vibrato or something. Or lately, heavy metal people have been using it to bend notes way, way up or way down. Well, this one bends whole chords up and down. So you can strum a G chord, listen to it ring, grab the whammy bar, bend it down, listen to the whole chord go down in tune, and lock it down a whole step down. And you can strum a series of harmonics on the instrument and do the same thing. So I just naturally had a blast with it. I was on tour in Europe with Suzanne Vega as her opening act, and I would leave early. Usually, I'd heard her show a couple times. I didn't have to be on her bus, so I'd have my road manager take me back to the hotel, and I'd get out my trans-trim and wail till dawn. Well, they aren't wailing tunes. I would work out on it. It's kind of like, with all those different positions, it's kind of like learning to drive a semi-truck, 8 different positions, 8 different gears.
The cover of Guitar Player this month, you're holding the trans-trim guitar with a harp attached to it?
Mm-hmm. I don't really take it out with me. I haven't written anything on it yet. It was just given to me a year ago, and I haven't had time to work out on it. I could take it out and play my old harp guitar stuff on it, but it wouldn't quite sound the same.
Well, what about the Savage Myth guitar?
That's my current acoustic title. My main strum.
So is that the one you added the bass string to?
No, that's a new thing. That's yet to be classified.
Did you use that on Taproot?
On one tune, not a guitar tune, it's on the vocal song, I Carry Your Heart, and it's strung low. I didn't add it, I just replaced. I moved all the courses up one. I did away with the high E string, and then took all the others and moved them up, like the B to where the E should be, and the G to where the B should be, and so forth, and that left me having a naked sixth string, biggest string spot, and so I got a bigger one. Lots of people have been tuning their guitars down lower, but I just thought, we'll make this a little bit of a hybrid and see what happens.
What got you interested in alternate tunings?
Just the need to hear different chords.
Are you familiar with Robert Fripp's stuff?
Oh, very. He has another tuning that everybody uses, but he uses it all the time. He's a very intellectual guy, and I think he's got a lot of soul too. But I love Fripp stuff. You know, I've been listening to King Crimson since it began, since In the Court of the Crimson King, and I've listened to all his productions and stuff he's done with Daryl Hall and the Roaches and the Adrian Blue and David Bowie.
Speaking of Adrian Blue, you used some backwards guitar effects on Song of the Spirit Farmer?
Mm-hmm. Also, early on, I did quite a bit with Spirit Change. But Spirit Farmer is all bass notes from a harp guitar, and turned around backwards. Very simple, but very time-consuming, and involves quite a bit of discipline for me.
The Root, which is my favorite percussive approach, blew me away. What can you tell me about that?
Oh, just my desire to finally write something where there wasn't one plucked note on the thing. Everything is tapped or slapped. There aren't any hammer-ons or pull-offs or anything like that. It's just slapping with the right and left hand. It's drumming on the guitar is what it is.
How did you get David Crosby and Graham Nash involved in I Carry Your Heart?
They just wanted to sing on something. They had one tune. I took the tape down to L.A. and we transferred it onto a digital machine, and they recorded their harmony parts in the digital machine, and I remixed it down from the 24-track to my 8-track, and then brought it home, and then I had it on a mix on 2 tracks.
Have you known them for a while?
Yeah, I played on David Crosby's solo album that was released 2 years ago, and we stayed in touch, and I wrote a song with David for the latest Crosby, Stills, Nash record. It's called Arrows. I'm not all that pleased with the way they did it, but I always have a good time with Crosby.
Okay, so now you called the lyrics from some poems by E.E. Cummings.
Right. He's one of the more famous poets. He's the one who uses all little letters and writes in shapes. His poem will be like maybe one word on a line for several lines, and then he'll go make another one. Or maybe his poetry will form a design on the page or something like that. But the most memorable thing to me about his poetry is the way that it's beautiful, yet it's stream of consciousness. So I thought this would be a fun way to make a song go, not to just write verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, but the poem kind of lends itself to 2 verses, and then it just goes off. And I thought, well, why not make the music go off too, to kind of match it up, so I don't mess with his form. I use Cummings' form, but I made music that would go with it. So I didn't change it, I used the words verbatim.
Your pieces are really rich and complex for someone that uses so few instruments.
Well, I think I do produce quite a bit, but it's more in the actual performance. The textures aren't too dense. They become dense in a few tunes, but that's the way I was experimenting, but I like to keep the simple guitar too.
Well, I personally think you rely on imagination more than technology.
Well, I rely on technology too. It's just on what is the nature of your reliance. I rely on technology to give me certain things. I don't rely on it to give me anything musical. Hopefully my ideas are the musical thing, and the technology will only help that. Like I've always, thought about the fact that I use steel strings as technology. The string is made in a factory by a machine. I like to provide my own rhythm. There's only one tune where I use a click track, scenes. And it was there when I needed a click track to keep the whole tune together in order to perform it. And after we recorded the first couple tracks, I did away with the click track so I could go with the rhythm that I was perceiving on the guitar. I don't think people rely on it too much. I hear a lot of great music, and some of it's using technology to its fullest extent, and it really works. It all depends on how much the artist is involved with the piece musically.
You used to actually be really involved in synthesizers.
I still am. I just haven't recorded a lot with them. I'm working more and more in that vein, but I didn't think that I had an original voice enough to really put much on. So I just use what I feel like I have to say. In the future, it may be more and more synthesizers as I become more familiar with how to use the instruments musically. The keyboards are already there. The techniques are already there. I've got an Oberheim expander and a Kai sampler and a DX7 and a Roland D50 and all the software and the computer and the MIDI patch bay and all the digital reverbs and the EQs and compressors and things.
What about guitar synth?
I don't think that I would care to control a synthesizer with my guitar technique. I would rather control it with a sequencer or a keyboard technique. Because what I tend to do originally on the guitar doesn't transmit through the guitar synthesizer. The guitar synthesizer doesn't pick up hammer-ons, pull-offs, harmonics. I have a keyboard technique that works better on a synthesizer.
What criteria does a song have to meet for you to want to cover it, like Love Bizarre?
Usually, I just have to go crazy and listen to it all the time to where I have to. I'm tired of listening to this. I got to sing it myself now. It's the only tune that Sheila E's done that I really got excited about. Probably it's because Prince wrote it. I think he's written so much. It's really amazing. I don't think he should have recorded everything that he's written, but maybe that's just his way of getting it off his chest. I don't know. I like his new record a lot. I like Lay Down Your Funky Weapon.
What do you think of him as a guitarist?
I don't listen to his guitar playing. I listen to his compositions, his melodies, and structures. I think he does the job okay. I'm not a big, I don't study his guitar playing. More and more, though, I just become completely floored with Lisa Dalbello. She's just, she walked in the room right now, I'd faint. Her latest release is called She. It's about 3 years old. It's my favorite record. Also, Human Forces.
I mean, it's your favorite record of all time?
Probably more listening hours. I like her strength. That's what I like. If you ever meet her, tell her I want to meet her. Tell her I'm dying with desire to meet her. Tell her I'm her fondest admirer.
I understand your next record's going to be more rock, vocal approached.
I'm having a good time singing now, and all the current tunes waiting to be recorded are vocal, so I would imagine that'll happen. Can't say for sure, but after I get done with my tour, I'll probably know.